All right, welcome tonight to Tuesday, August 19th Committee of the Whole. It is 6:30 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Reed. Here. Rolke.
Here.
Rosted.
Here.
This meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
All right, next I'll be looking for approval of the agenda with an update to number 2 to Public Works Maintenance 2, not 1.
Motion to approve as corrected.
Second.
We have a first by Alder Rosted and a second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda approved. Public comment. There is no one signed up. We will move on to new business. So discussion regarding job descriptions for administrative and billing clerk, deputy treasurer, and human resources generalist. Are you, Matt or Kendra, which one of you guys is taking this?
I can talk about it. So we have the job descriptions within the packets, and the first one is going to be for the administrative and billing clerk, and that is going to be replacing the DPW admin assistant and bringing them back to City Hall to be the first point of contact for citizens, so citizens don't have to go to 5 different buildings within the city. So we think that'll be a good change to have that, and then they'll also be helping with a little bit of finance duties as well to spread out the finance love in our team. And then the deputy treasurer is just being updated. Allie is taking on some new responsibilities, so that's just an update. And then human resources generalist will be doing everything that my prior role did as the human resources administrator, along with adding payroll to their plate. So those are the new updates with those job descriptions.
Any questions? Alder Rosted?
So we have 4 listed. We're going to hire 3, right? Or 2?
I'll just clarify that this first item is just the job descriptions. The vacancies is the next item.
And it's 3.
And there's an update to the deputy treasurer job description, but that's a position that's currently filled and not planning to do anything with that position, just some updates to that job description.
Okay.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Not directly job description related, but a quick question. If everyone is here, what will the dumpster access be that there used to be over at the DPW? Sorry.
Are you referring to the recycling center?
It's like-
Yep, that'll still be ran by DPW within the months. It's like May to, I can't remember the ending month.
I think she's talking about the dumpster for if I want to bring a bulk item, pay someone at DPW to drop it off.
Yeah, so they would pay it here and then they can drop it off there. We're hoping in the future maybe to get a scan thing when people go to the recycling center, but that's a future project.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion?
Me.
Oh,
Just note, there are 3 spots where it says water and light, and it should say utilities. That would be the admin and billing clerk. And then under deputy treasurer, 9th item, I believe, had to do with the, let me find it. Had to do with the sewer department, where sewer utility should be removed from that. Let's see, 1. Yeah, it has to do with the purchase order registry and such, and it says, it has sewer utility department in there, but that would go back with the utilities, so. Those were the only 2 things that I had.
all right. Anyone else, or are we good moving that forward? All right. Next is the discussion regarding authorization to fill vacancies for administrative and billing clerk, human resources generalist, and public works maintenance 2 positions.
Yeah, I'll kind of highlight this if there's any follow-up or Kendra wants to add anything. So as discussed, the administrative and billing clerk would replace the DPW admin assistant, Human Resources Generalist is just a retitled off of the Human Resources Administrator, and aligning them under the Finance Director position. And then the Public Works Maintenance 2 position, the vacancy is a Maintenance 1. We want to fill it as a Maintenance 2, develop criteria that would allow someone to move to the Maintenance 1 and determine that at a future time. But it's imperative that we go through the hiring process, get someone in as soon as possible. They may come to us without a CDL. We may need to put them through CDL training. And obviously, trying to do all of that before snow flies is advantageous for Public Works.
Aldermeyer?
So with existing maintenance 1s and maintenance 2s, what criteria have we used in the past to put these people into these positions? Because if we have a rock star apply, we shouldn't withhold putting them into a maintenance 2 or a maintenance 1.
That's well said, and I think we can evaluate that as we go through the process. I don't know that there is criteria. Both of those positions have been filled the entire time I've been with the city, so I don't know prior to that how that determination was made. But what I've talked to the Public Works Director about is developing some certifications that we think are important and using that certification level as a threshold to determine between the Maintenance 1 and Maintenance 2s.
So to follow up on that, I guess I understand why we're posting it as a maintenance 2. I would definitely encourage, if we have a strong candidate, to move it to a maintenance 1, as if we're going to set criteria for existing maintenance 1s. We should probably recruit based on the same criteria as what they currently sit with, not future certs required.
Which one's higher, maintenance 1 or maintenance 2? Because I thought maintenance 2 is higher.
Oh, other way. There's a clerical error too. So this says this would allow a maintenance 1 to move up to maintenance 2.
Yeah. That's why I thought we changed it to a 2, because then that needs a CDL, right?
Everyone needs a CDL, a
Everyone does?
DPW.
Okay.
I think the intent is that if we have someone that identifies in the hiring process that meets that criteria, and the Public Works Director is confident in that, we have the flexibility to move forward in that. The budget capacity is there. So I think the point's well taken and something that we can make sure is reflective of the hiring process.
Alder Rostad?
I'll bump back up to item 1. Just those numbers are starting with
The midpoint.
midpoint. Would we hire above midpoint if it was the right criteria?
In fairness to everyone currently working for the city, we have negotiated to the midpoint, but not above it. We went through a substantial effort last year to get everyone to the midpoint of their range. And so we've listed positions from the starting point to the midpoint. We've not negotiated above the midpoint.
Any other discussion, or are we good moving this forward? All right. Number 3, discussion regarding amendments to provisions of Chapter 102 of the City Code of Ordinances concerning the Columbus Utility Commission. Matt?
So the ordinance was drafted based on the discussion at the workshop held 2 weeks ago. It essentially aligns the Utility Commission to kind of function the same way the rest of our committees do, with a annual organizational meeting in May, hiring process that follows for the utility director, that follows the hiring process for the rest of our city department heads, and essentially aligns the compensation strategy to that the Utility Commission can make recommendations that ultimately the council has to approve those in a way that we can try and align across the board, noting that obviously there are positions at the utility that are compensated higher, but that we make sure that we're having those discussions in concert with the entire organization. Happy to answer any questions, clarify anything.
Alder Meyer.
I'm going to make a statement on this. I think this is an absolute must to pass. We have I'll call it a CEO of the city and our administrator. And if he can't hold departments accountable, department heads that operate within the city, what do we have, right? And with that, we shouldn't be enabling one single committee to approve all wages increases, et cetera. That all these things should be coming per precedence of every other department to the council. So I think this is a must-do.
Mayor?
Just under number 2, section 102-58, it's listed communication system, which further on, we're repealing the communications part of it, so it's just a matter of
Yeah,
removing the communication systems
Good catch,
out
thank you.
of there, so.
Anything else, or are we good to move this forward? All right, next, discussion regarding task order 2025-05 with Rupert Milkie for 2026 West School Street reconstruction in an amount of $167,600. Matt, is that you or Jason?
I'll start, and if there are specific questions, or if Jason wants to, we're grateful that Jason's here tonight, and he might want to make some introductions, but this is a large project. If you've looked ahead and looked at the CIP number, we're a little north of $3 million on the overall School Street project. So this will be a significant investment. This is design work to make sure that we're moving forward effectively, efficiently, to be in a position for being able to bid this early in 2026.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'll kind of just expand on that with a couple highlights as we kind of go through here. Obviously, we do these street reconstructs, so I want to just kind of go through the task order and talk about why this one might be slightly different. And to Matt's point, getting started a little early is really contingent upon the largeness of the project. Last year, I know the project was much smaller. We got started a little later, but so this is School Street. If you've looked at the map, it is from Park Avenue all the way up the hill to Hibbert Street. So it's the entire length, about 7 blocks. That pavement rating is generally a 3 out of a 10 on average for that full length. That pavement is almost 100 years old. We don't know exactly, but circa 1920, 1930 for the concrete in there. So again, that's well beyond the life cycle of a road, if you remember my presentation from a little while back. It will consist of new street and sidewalks, new driveway aprons, pretty much everything from right-of-way to right-of-way. We'll be adding storm sewer. Right now, there's currently undersized and not enough sufficient storm sewer for the heavy rains that we receive nowadays. The water main is also undersized. That will be increased. New hydrants added along there. Lead services have been replaced historically throughout this section in the public right-of-way, but a lot of the homes still, I think, have some lead services in there. So this is kind of a joint project to cover some of those utility upgrades. Clay sanitary sewers, those will be replaced, obviously leaking laterals to help reduce our I&I. Not only is the road bad, but the utilities also are bad. That's what drives this up to a higher priority project. We'll be applying for an LRIP grant in October. We won't know if we get that probably till about the time we bid it. We will bid this, though, with the language that we need to be LRIP eligible. We're hoping if we're successful for that, that's somewhere around $450,000 plus or minus as a grant towards this project. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. There is some work that includes the section along the middle school. This does make this a little bit of a unique project. The police chief is here. He can contest to a lot of different traffic configurations around the middle school over the years for drop-off, pick-off, safety. of children. Safe Routes to School was involved in some of this. We're hoping to make some of those improvements through that section by potentially widening out some of the street for some drop-off, eliminating the mid-block crosswalks. So there's a lot of coordination with the school that we need to go through here with this project. So again, that's included in this. We're also looking at burying some of the overhead electric lines on that block, not for the entire project, but at least there so we can bump out some of the pavement for some drop-off areas. So some good things happening there that I think will make some improvements related to safety. We do have a couple public informational meetings included with this project. It's large enough that I added 2 in there. In past years, we've kind of oscillated between how many of those we have. I think with the number of residents, we want to make sure that we have the opportunities for people to get to these meetings, ask questions, get information. So we're going to have 2, I think, for this meeting, just to kind of get the project kicked off and introduced, and then one a little further along in the design to answer questions. The other thing that's unique to this project is we will include in our task order is there's some archaeological investigation, believe it or not. There is some impact to some Native American burial areas along this corridor. They've been previously disturbed, but we still have to go through the process of permitting for that. The schedule, again, to kind of get through all of this, we want to get started early, so that's why we're here tonight. And I think the last thing that I had in the task order is we do have a fee breakdown at the end. Note the full total amount that you're approving tonight isn't necessarily the burden on the capital budget. We do have the water, sewer, and storm utilities broken out proportionally for our fee at the bottom of the fee schedule. We typically do that for proposals, and we also do that for the billing, so we can get the appropriate costs charged back to the correct locations. So I guess with that, everything else in here is pretty standard language that we would normally do for a street reconstruct. So if you've been around and been through those proposals, it'll cover, like Matt said, from initial kickoff, everything through recommendation when we have bids in hand and we're standing up here. So the last piece on the last page I have on here is our designated representative for the task order will be Sam. Sam is one of our engineers in Madison who will be helping with the project and said I'd love to come to the council meeting tonight. So
Welcome,
I said
Sam.
I will do the talking, but if anybody has any questions, Sam is here as well. We just wanted to kind of put a face to a name for you. So anything specific on the task order?
Mayor Hammer?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Alder Meyer?
I don't have anything specific on the task order, but I do have a question for Matt. Have we pulled together any input from police and fire on the safety? We all know it's a safety nightmare for kids, adults, whatever, in that area on what truly needs to be fixed instead of just saying we're going to eliminate the crosswalk in the middle of the intersection versus, right, are we going to upgrade to a point where we're going to make it truly safe for our kids that are walking that every single day?
A couple of different things. I think that's part of this design process that I know that Jason's historically been involved in a lot of those discussions over the year, and will work with both chiefs to address any concerns that they have. On a bigger scale, we've looked at School Street potentially as some of you know, Mike and I have been in our free time looking at what a trail plan for the community looks like, and knowing that this School Street project is on the table, we've kind of dove into how School Street could be part of that connection to the older part of the community where we know it's going to be hard to put anything in, and so is it on-street lanes? Is it a wider sidewalk? What could be done to kind of use School Street as a potential connector in the community for a pedestrian bicycle network as well. So,
I guess my biggest concern is that if we're going to spend $3 million on a road, roughly, we need to do it right, and we need to make sure that all the hazards that we can control are eliminated.
Alder Rusted?
You brought up lead water services. So when one is exposed that is not updated, would you like to update us on the process, what happens at that point?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have records of where we believe the water service is to be lead. Now, that's fairly difficult to determine until we dig those up. So in the past, the way the process works is we've identified the potential properties, we've put notice into the residents that the project is happening. That will also be discussed at the public informational meetings, so people are aware of this. There is obviously some options where we expose it and it's in the right of way, we'll replace it as part of this project. I think a lot of those have been done over the years on this section of street, but that's not saying there's not one there we didn't catch or that we might have missed. For those residents that may still have the lead on their property, when we expose it, we document it, we make notice, we send them a letter and tell them the opportunity to replace it is now. Historically, there's been some funding in place through the DNR to help with that, and I don't think there's anything currently in place. Do you know, Joe?
I don't believe so, although
Yeah.
I know that this last budget, there was that.
I don't believe so, but the last budget that Evers signed, thought that there was something in there regarding lead.
Yeah, so that kind of changes year to year what's available, but we really kind of let the homeowners know, and then we have an approved list of plumbers that do that work in the city that are qualified and have been doing that. So we'll obviously provide that to them as well, so they got somebody to contact and get, a quote for that. And then ultimately it's private property, so it is up to them. Now we are, when we just do discover it, we do make the notifications, and then, it's, hopefully they'll have a plumber in to do it while we're doing the work, so we can do the restoration at one time and make sure that we get everything updated. So we do kind of have that as a standard process in the construction.
Alder Lawson.
Just want to make sure that if we decide to use this map for anything else, that the right street is highlighted, because it's not School Street.
Thank you. That was my mistake.
I thought I was going crazy too when I looked at it. I'm like, oh, I must not
I
really
guess
know what School
that's
Street
what
is.
happens when Jason highlights something really quickly. I appreciate that, but yes, we will get that updated.
Good catch. Any concerns with
Didn't
this?
mean to make
moving-
anybody excited on Richmond Street. If you're watching, you're good right now.
Good moving this forward? All right. Next, discussion of bids received for asphalt work at Waterloo Lift Station, Meister Park Lift Station, and parking lot, and Warner Park parking lot, and infrastructure support of proposed park shelter.
So this was a Jason and Matt collaboration on trying to find a way to figure out how to get some of this done. You've all heard me lament about our lack of paved lift stations, our lack of paved parking lots that are both against our city ordinances, and that we had money in the budget this year for infrastructure support at Warner Park. Unfortunately, we were a little bit low on what we needed for that proposed project. I've got data in here kind of showing how we could potentially shake some money free from some couch cushions and find a way to cover this. But I also think it may be worth, and as Jason and I have talked a little bit about this, we'll get better pricing, we believe, in lumping this work in with the School Street project next year. And so although you could approve this and we could, find ways to pay for it this year, it might make more sense to reject these bids and include them with the School Street project next year.
Alder Meyer?
I 100% agree. I don't think it makes any sense to spend more money than we should, and I agree that we should reject it and lump it in.
Alder Lawson?
Are there any other impacts that we should be aware of if we defer this to next year?
The Warner Park shelter, at this point, there's still some work that has to be done there with an agreement between NRPAC and the city. And so although that's been drafted and back and forth, I think we're in a really tight window for that to happen yet this fall. And so I think on both parties, I think we can make a better project and make it work next spring. That's the only time sensitive thing with this, because like the Meister Park parking lot hasn't been paved in its life. So whether we delay it, a few more months, I don't think changes anything.
And does that impact your statement of work or cost at all to do the work for next year?
No, that's a great question. So right now, the plans are all developed. And so for us to incorporate that into the project is just so minimal work for us to kind of roll it into School Street. I don't foresee anything that really we would change in our proposals or anything just to do that if that's what you so choose to do. I think other options obviously are to kind of pull it apart even more. I mean, we could certainly break some of the paving out. There's multiple ways we could do it if you rejected it. I don't think there's really a lot of or any impact from Rupert Milky's standpoint to do what you guys so choose to do.
All right, any other discussion?
I would agree deferring this until next year when we can get a better pricing with the School Street project.
All right. Everybody good moving this to council? We do have to go to council to at least reject the bids if we do not want to proceed, so. Any concerns with that? All right. Next, discussion of capital improvement budget and additional staffing requests.
That's me. I'm going to start this with, there's a bunch of information in the support documents that's probably going to change over the next few weeks. I had a couple of emails even today about some changes needed to be made for 2026. So as always, budget's a working document until we get it to a final setting, and we can take the projected numbers off of the bid you just rejected and incorporate that in, so that's reflected in next year's planned work as well. What you have in your packet is the 10-year CIP, which still needs work. For some of our department heads, especially newer department heads, it's an evolution to think beyond next year, let alone to think 10 years out of what projects might be in 2035. I think as you look at that document, you start to get, I think we've done a good job for 5 years. We've got a lot of work to do in years 6 through 10. But it's one of these documents that's really helpful and that we need to continue to keep moving forward and keep effort on. So I'll be encouraging all the department heads to continue to work in that regard. You see a list of specific 2026 projects, and then we've tried to put together a presentation. A lot of you know Luke Moore has been intern with us this department, and I tasked him with putting this presentation together, and so excited to kind of go through this and visually show you the 26 projects for the CIP. Some are easier to show visually than others. Fiber optic network, this was something that we included $50,000 in 2025 for. We'll continue to look at this. The 25 work is really narrowly focused on the library and connecting the library to fiber in support of our phone system. There are planned efforts to connect all of our city buildings with fiber that will reduce our long-term internet costs, external costs. Fire department, Engine 92, this is something that we've been planning for. This is a large acquisition. There's a portion that we set aside last year with our borrowing. There's another portion this year, and there's funds that would come from the rural group. Additionally, the fire department has 3 Jaws of Life units, and the recommendation is to replace the oldest at a cost of $45,000. Parks, Recreation, and Aquatics, Pavilion HVAC is on the table for next year. This is work in adding air conditioning, insulation, and other work associated with being able to climate control that building, which I think everyone here understands the need for it. I think more so it preserves that building longer as well by having a more climate controlled environment. Meister Park netting, this is a project that's been identified for a number of years of needing to replace netting, limiting safety factor around the ball fields. There's fence repair at Kiwanis Park for $10,000. As a lot of you have attended meetings, and I didn't have the master plan on this council or committee of the whole agenda. The intent is to bring that in September. But it doesn't mean that we can't forecast out improvements. Pickleball is something we've talked a lot about. We have a site identified that there's some work that we need to do yet with the country club. We've had some meetings. We need to have another meeting to talk about the shown location in the master plan for the 4 pickleball courts is on the country club property. What we've talked to the country club about is amending the lease to put that portion where these are proposed to go back into the park and remove it from the leased area that the country club has. You also note there's a formalized parking area adjacent to the pickleball courts that's long been parked by everyone, and this would formalize and improve the safety and more durable parking space long term there. I don't want to get too far into the park master plan, but we now have a detailed cost estimate on the overall cost of what 4 pickleball courts would be. In 2025, we'd identified $36,000 of capital support to date. There's been about $45,000 fundraised. And then there'd have to be a discussion on whether we were the remaining balance of the $66,225, whether that's something we're going to borrow for or look at potential naming rights or further solicitation of sponsorships or fundraising. Fireman's Park basketball court has been identified in the green space in front of the aquatic center. And again, that's another large cost of $77,000. But these are estimates that if we're going to go out and bid this work of what we would be paying for those improvements. The community center has their heating, ventilating, air conditioning for replacement at a cost of $18,000, and then replacing the community center doors. You can see some pictures here of where you're starting to see some deterioration. These are things that are on the schedule. They could be delayed, or they could move forward in 2026. Lounge chairs at the aquatic center. There's been Kane and Amy Jo have been discussing maybe scaling this back and picking up a ventilation project in the maintenance room that's been needed. The amount to do that might stay the same. Basically, the ventilation project's looking at about $15,000, $16,000, and they'd scale back chairs. They've been kind of purchasing chairs as funds are available to replace, so scaling that back to maybe $4,000 or $5,000 and allocating that money. But again, this is one of those email discussions that's kind of currently going on as we go through this. The blue-green attraction is in need of a maintenance, repair, and potential. Is this a replacement or just
Repair.
Repair.
Some of it's under warranty, some of it's not.
Okay. Police department, the annual, we've been replacing a squad each year. There's an item further on the agenda to talk about this. The plan as it's shown currently is the vehicle acquisitions, $47,000, and Chief's going to talk to you about how they equip the vehicle and how that's paid for later this evening. And then last year we replaced half of the tasers. The plan would be is to replace the other half next year. Same with squad computers. Last year, this year I should say, 3 were replaced. Looking to do the additional 3 next year. Same with squad cameras, keeping these on a replacement schedule. We just talked about school street repairs. You see the projected cost and breakdown. The streets portion of that is just under 1.4 million, with the utilities portion of that just over 1.6 million. This is one that I raised the question on when I saw this in the slide today, is Tower Drive, of whether we've already allocated this funding. It's just homework I need to do. If we haven't allocated this, making sure that we have our portion of the project. This is the city's portion of the grant-funded Tower Drive project. Public Works parking lot. Of redoing the Public Works parking lot, and then plow truck. I got an updated number on the plow truck, and our plow truck estimate is way low. I believe the plow truck number that I saw today, and don't quote me on this, was more in the 250, 260 range. So, again, I think we're working on really old numbers, and getting the updated numbers as they came in today just shows you where a lot of costs have drastically changed. And I know Ryan's nodding his head because he's in this world, but we've seen this with large equipment. The prices have really, really increased. And I'm trying to remember, it's been a number of years since we bought a plow truck in the city. DPW would also like to expand the salt shed to provide for more storage and replace 3 of the overhead garage doors. Here you can kind of see a kind of what we're looking at in total of all these requests. And again, I don't expect that these numbers are final. I don't intend or expect that you're going to approve all the projects. But at a future meeting, we will have to prioritize and go through what projects want to move forward in 2026 and what projects will have to be delayed or have to be re-envisioned in the future. So that's a really quick glance. Happy to answer any questions or go through any specifics.
Alder Reed.
Oh, thank you. First off, I'm really thankful to see the layout over the next couple of years of the needs and wants for the different departments. My question is just really surprised under the parks for the beer garden and amphitheater. That just really surprised me.
All I can say is I've lived in this world, and one of the things that not to tell a Middleton story, but I know you love them so much. One of the things we did in Middleton was we had a deficiency in our park shelters. And it was kind of the same kind of sticker shock, right? And I put a PowerPoint presentation together of neighboring communities in the Madison area that had done new park shelters in the last 5 years and the price that they paid for them. And it really kind of changed the discussion of, well, we want to make sure that we've got a nice park shelter. And so it ended up, we ended up doing a $1.4 million rehab of our major park shelter at Lakeview Park, for anyone who knows, and kind of took that from a really dark and dreary, uninviting, unwelcoming facility to a lot of glass, natural light. It had been cedar sided. We reclaimed the wood, re-stained it, used it for the ceiling in the building. It's an absolutely beautiful facility, but anytime you're talking about a building in a park and public bidding, those costs have increased dramatically. That concept is something that we've talked internally with some people about, is what I hope is our first project that our friends group kind of takes under its wings and looks at how we identify naming rights or sponsorship or fundraising opportunities to help support that, knowing that we're never going to, with the other work that we have to do with city facilities, streets, other infrastructure, that's going to be hard to commit that kind of money in the parks. But I think it's important to make sure that we have park improvements on our horizon and be creative with how we fund them, because I truly believe those great parks really are what create neighborhood and what create community. So.
Alder Meyer.
Community center door. How old is that bid, first of all? Second of all, if it's just,
I want to say a year and a half.
so we should probably have that rebidded, for one. For two, if in the slide you said because of the deterioration, I think we need to look at options to fix the deterioration and continue to use those doors and fix what the problem is instead of just slapping brand new doors across the entire building.
I'll just add to Marcus that one of the reasons I suggested maybe holding off is that what I've kind of cautioned, what I've asked the police chief and fire chief to do in 2026 is we're not going to expend money on their buildings until we figure out the plan for public safety, right? And knowing that there could be a tangential relationship between the public safety building project and a future community center, is that a building that we also want to maybe delay any decisions on further investment with? And what can be done to kind of buy us time as we figure out what that public safety building looks like and what the future of a community center may be. For those that are wondering what's he talking about, I've championed looking at the feasibility of the current fire station is could it be repurposed as a community center long-term? So.
And then my last one is the Fireman's Park, the AC. I think this is an absolute must-need to do. The amount of money that the pavilion brings into us for one, and two, preservation of the building in general. Those are my 2 comments for right now. Give me a bit and I'll have some more.
Alder Rostad.
Thanks. Yeah, you took the one, the plow truck. I knew that was way low. And secondly, I have a question on the pickleball. So it's my belief that we should borrow on it, but I want input. We can still ask for naming rights, correct? It's just money that we borrowed we're not going to spend on the pickleball. So we can borrow it, and then if naming rights doesn't pull through like we hope, we can still move forward the project, correct?
Yeah, I think that's a really sound concept that allows. The only challenge with it is sometimes it becomes hard to fundraise when people know that you've borrowed for the money, and can move forward. But I think it's worth having that conversation as we move through and having that ability and capacity. It doesn't mean that those funds couldn't be allocated for a different project if funding does come through in a different way.
And then a question on the squad. There's 39,000 in grants, donations, and other. So is that upfitting, or is that money that's set aside that we haven't spent from previous?
That would be the outfitting of the vehicle, and Chief wants to talk to you about how they fund that.
That's perfect. And then the fire department, Jaws of Life. Why is the city on the hook 100% for the Jaws of Life?
Scott, do
we were on the hook for the command truck. The city bought that. The city bought 98, and now we're going to be on the hook for Jaws of Life.
Yeah,
That
I just haven't talked with the world yet about splitting cost on it. So that would be half that amount.
that would be my. That's the way I would like to see it.
Alder Lawson.
Okay, so Kiwanis, are we paving the part that's currently unpaved?
that is, my belief is that we need to make sure that all of our parks are paved where our ordinance requires us to pave our parks. Gravel parking lots are not allowed in the city of Columbus.
Okay. The squad car computers and cameras. So we replaced half, we're replacing half. As we move into the take home squad program, and we would replace them with the vehicle then every year that we replace one, or?
The last agenda item tonight is me giving an update on the municipal program, and I think I'll answer your question.
Okay, awesome. The beer garden and amphitheater, looks like we had that in there for 2027. Is there the potential that we would start movement towards that in 2026, not necessarily break ground construction, but planning kind of costs?
Potentially, yeah. And I think there's a lot of work that has to be done on that. And it is, as I think about what our year ahead looks like, that might be a 27 planning and 28 construction more likely, just knowing where things are at. But again, I think it's good discussion to have. On a project like that, you absolutely need a year of planning and design before construction. And I don't know that we're going to have staff capacity in 2026 to undertake that project.
Okay, thank you.
Alder Rosted?
I just want to address your comment about the public safety building and to hold off on the police department or the fire department or the community center. While it's a good philosophy, every year we push something off, the cost goes up, right? So if I'm looking now, like the fire department, the sewer lateral replacement, like if we keep that building, whether it's for your goal or dream that you have, that we have to do it on our end regardless, right? Or if we sell it off, it'll probably come out of the selling cost when they find out we need a new sewer lateral. So I think we should still look at all three of those buildings just for that factor that if we keep them, let's spend the money up front instead of something that's going to cost us more, twice as much probably down the road.
All right, any other comments on the presentation? Otherwise, I think there's a little bit more yet, right, on this? Yep. All right, back to you, Matt.
Oh, I didn't have anything more on this
I
item.
thought it was COLA and
Oh, thank you very much. Sorry.
staffing.
You're referencing my memo. Thank you. As we met with department heads and talked through capital improvements, we also asked about staffing requests. And so the one staffing request we received was from the fire department. Fire would be interested in looking at a full-time chief and or full-time fire inspector based on the increased responsibilities with inspections specifically. So that is the one additional staffing request that was received. I guess one of the things that I'm trying to decide tonight or get direction on tonight is that something you want numbers and want to see brought forward as we look at the operating budget? The other piece is in terms of what you'd like to see proposed for a cost of living adjustment for staff, because that's one of the big numbers that impacts the operating budget. And as we look to start drafting the operating budget, is there a number that you'd like to see in terms of a COLA at least proposed? I shared here some neighboring communities, this was a topic of discussion on a webinar with a bunch of other city administrators in the area, so you can see who attended that webinar and what they had proposed in terms of their cost of living adjustment for next year.
Alder Rosted.
What is the national average cost of living? I did not see that in here.
I have it pulled up. I'm going to speak. 3.5% right now is the national average for a cost of living allowance.
And
how does that get factored in regionally? Because obviously there are, living in San Francisco is a lot different cost of living than living in Columbus. And, how does that factor into state and region? Because a national number I completely understand, but, the interesting thing here is, Sun Prairie and Verona being at 2.5 is interesting as the larger communities in the Madison area, and that all the rest of the neighboring communities are at 3 or higher. So,
correct. That was going to be my question. So, I feel like we're missing information to a point. Like, where are they at based on paying their employee? Where's their wage at?
Well, and you have to
Compared.
understand, this discussion in Sun Prairie and Verona is very different than everywhere else. Because in Sun Prairie and Verona, they're up against their levy limit. Their only allowed increase in their budget is what their net growth was from 24 to 25. So when they're going 2.5, because if they go more than that, they have to cut something on the other end. Whereas a lot of the other communities here have more flexibility to go to 3 or higher than 3 because they're either not up against their levy limit, or it isn't as impactful to their budget, because I lived that being in one of those other communities.
And I guess, so what percent are you comfortable with our levy limit? Like what's an extreme and then what's a low, just for discussion?
1,000% total transparency. We have not looked at the levy limit and where we're gonna have, we haven't gotten to that point. With our focus to this point has been the CIP, and now we'll start getting into the operating budget. So in terms of an exercise in looking at what is 2.5 versus 3% versus 3.5 we're not there.
I guess my only input would be that I would like to see Columbus in the lead again and not always trying to play catch up. So I would favor a larger cost of living increase percent than being standard or trying to match our neighboring towns.
Alder Lawson?
With the changes that we did in performance reviews, are we going to implement merit increases based upon those reviews, or are we still doing like across the board, this is the percent for everyone?
One of the things on my budget wish list is a merit-based allocation. So I'm going to ask you in the operating budget, do you want to set aside $25,000 to $30,000 for a merit pay program? And so that it's in the budget, and then come back to you with a proposal on what that is and what it would look like.
And that's in addition to the COLA adjustment?
Right. So that'd be for high-performing employees of developing criteria that we're going to give them a merit increase for those, and that's to move people from the midpoint of their range towards above the midpoint, right? So that's a really separate discussion from cost of living adjustment, but it is one of my items that I have on my wish list for bringing to you as part of the operating budget for discussion.
Alder Rolke?
Yeah, I guess I was just gonna agree with Alder Rostad. We worked so hard to get to midpoint on salary, and unfortunately, the reality is cost of living adjustments are never as high as the cost of living price raise. So I think we should be in the lead here too. Otherwise, everything we did in the last year or two is it's diminished.
And the number one reason I'm asking you this tonight is because last year I picked 3% out of midair and put it in the budget. Nobody questioned, asked, or had a discussion about it. So I kind of wanted to have this discussion on the front end before we decide upon a number.
I'm not sure who was first over there. Alder Reed. Oh,
Thank
it was
you.
you.
Thank you. For the cost of living adjustment, I'm leaning towards 3% as being the goal number, but I would definitely love to see what 3.5 looks like to try and stay ahead of it. But again, I'm thinking we should probably aim for 3. As far as the first question, I'm willing to look at proposals for a full-time fire chief / inspector. I'm wondering who would be in charge of the job description and who would be in charge of making sure the job description is met.
Sorry, Alder Meyer, you can go.
So I totally understand what everybody is saying on a COLA adjustment. What we shouldn't be doing is using a COLA adjustment to adjust wages for lack of budgeting due to merit process. We should budget properly to ensure that we can truly execute a merit-based wage increase across the board, every person within the city. Do I have a problem with being the top on that list? Absolutely not. But let's not hide behind the name of cost of living, and let's own what it is, and it's a wage increase, right? There are contracts within the city that we could say cost of living is 2.5%. That's the national average, right? We have unions within the city. We shouldn't use a cost of living to wage adjust. We should do it properly and budget properly for it. Just my 2 cents. Secondly, fire chief. I feel that we need to have a study done on the position. We have a community of 15,000, 13 miles down the road, that just hired their first ever full-time fire chief that has 6 times the inspections that we have. So we need to figure out what the time allotment truly is. We shouldn't just be putting a position out there to put it out there. We need to have the justification. Otherwise, we're just throwing money away at this point. And that's my 2 cents on that.
Alder Rostad?
What happened? I'm going to date myself, but what happened? So, the fire department did have a full-time inspector back when I started my tenure in 2004. We had a full-time inspector from 04 through, I don't even remember when, but then, 2008? Because, we had the flood and some stuff went down. And then 2009, we hired Chief Keen as a part-time, and we lost our full-time inspector. We lost, I shouldn't say we, I'm retired. They lost, at that time, we had a full-time office assistant. And now we split the assistant, or they split the assistant with the police department, like eight hours compared to 8 for fire, 32 for police. Whatever happened to the funding when we did hire a full-time chief and it didn't work out. I think it was maybe 2 months, 1 month he was in office. But what happened to that fund? Did it just disappear? It
didn't disappear. What often happens is it gets reallocated to other priorities, right? We've talked in the past about the fluctuation of public works staffing, and times there was a director and a superintendent, times there was just a superintendent, times there's just a director. I mean, every department ebbs and flows through this, right? And, it's not like there's this pile of money for the fire department and it's always there. It's the council allocates, and if at time there was full-time, I'm sure things changed, budget decisions were made, and that money was reappropriated elsewhere. I can't tell you, from 2004 or 2008 where that was allocated. We can clearly do the research and backstory on it, but I can't answer that question tonight.
Well, I know the inspector wage went towards making the fire chief full-time. But then when the fire chief never got backfilled to a full-time position, I don't know where all that went or how that all shook out. That's just my input.
Any other discussion on this? Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Do you have what you need?
On the COLA, yes. I kind of understand where everybody's at, and we're probably going to run some scenarios and kind of show you the impact of that. And there'll be a future decision on that. In terms of, what do you want to see in terms of the fire staffing? Because I heard one wanting to see a proposal, I heard another wanting to see a study.
I'm going to reiterate that we're a city of 5,000 with 4 times, or a city 13 miles down the road with 15,000 people has 4 times the inspections, and they haven't had a full-time inspector or chief. We need to figure out what is causing us, technically, right? Is there truly a need? We need a study done. I'm not somebody who's going to go ahead and push $90,000 into a salary if we don't truly need it. And without an impartial study, how do we get to that point?
Alder Lawson?
I'm not saying that I'd have to see a third-party study, but it would be at least nice to see some research of similar communities and, you know, whether they have full-time chiefs or not, and inspectors, just to see how we would compare. And then also any other evidence that we need to increase one of those roles.
I've done some of that legwork. Everyone is obviously different. It ranges from Lake Mills, who I would put in our comparable. They're a little bit bigger than us, but not significantly much. They have a full-time chief. Then you look at Milton and Edgerton, who are roughly our population, and they are part of a 10 jurisdiction fire district that pays a chief $10,000 a year. So that's the gamut of comparables, and there is no comparison. Everyone does inspections differently. Some pay someone to do them, others contract out. It's really kind of across the board on how inspections are done. And that's fire department to fire department. Everyone seems to have a different process or different way that they conduct their inspections.
Alder Rostad?
Lawson brought up a good point. So is this a either or position, or is this all one and tied together?
I don't know that that's defined. I think there's a lot of variables. I don't disagree that a study or analysis wouldn't be great. I just, having not been in the world, I don't know who you go to get an impartial study of a fire department's operations.
Because I think inspections is our pinch point, right? We're behind. We're still behind. We failed last year. We came into compliance for the inspection. We have a fire chief. It's part-time right now. I think if the council is in favor to study this request, I think we need to go where the pinch point is. And if the inspections is the pinch point, let's explore options there, whether we hire a full-time inspector or we hire inspections out. I know that gets kind of dicey with the 2%, but as long as you're completing it, I'm sure we can put someone on that task to see if we're still feasible to get the 2% if we hire out. If we have to use that money to offset the wage, or if that pays the third-party company. And we also have to remember we're two departments, right? So does the rural group have stake in the salary if we hire a inspector? Because I don't remember how the inspector was paid back in 04 through whatever. And then if we hire a fire chief, a full-time fire chief, part of his wage today is paid by the rural group. So this isn't like solely our decision. I mean, I think we need to keep that communication path open, because that communication path between previous council and, I don't want to call them commission, but rural group was not very good. So I think we need to explore. My option, or my opinion, is to explore the inspection, which is our pinch point, and see what the rural group, or see what their piece of the pie is, if they have to, or if they don't. I don't know what the contract says.
Alder Reed? Oh,
Thank you. So I'm definitely for further research. I'd rather not pay a third-party group that may or may not have a ton of experience to do the research for us, knowing that it'll probably be an extra 10,000 plus out the door. I would like to contact third-party inspectors just so we have their rates for per number of expected inspections, just so we have a really good all-around view of what our options are.
Aldermeyer?
So in order to get me on board at all with approving any type of spending, I guess we need the facts. How many fire inspections have we had? How many times have we failed the fire inspection, minus last year? What is the cause of failing the fire inspection? We can't, I'm going to go back to it. We can't just throw money at something as a wish list item and cover it under, well, we have a pinch point. Well, what's creating the pinch point? We need to address the root cause. I can't believe our inspections have went up hundreds, right? So how have we not failed in the past until last year? And then we need to root cause that, not just throw money at positions across the board, right? I'm not against it, but somebody needs to put some data to it. We can't just say, oh, this is a want, because that's what that is right now. It's a want. It's nothing more than that until I have data in front of my face that says, hey, this is truly a need. And until we have that, I can't support it.
Yeah, I think I would second what everybody's been saying is a root cause analysis on why we're falling behind and what the core issue is, and then data and justification as to either option solving that problem. I think my biggest thing is like the root cause analysis. Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I do want to do a root cause analysis of where the issues popped up. And I also want to look at, is this something new for a problem of not being able to get to things and an allotment of time? Or the other possibility, was there volunteer hours going in that we simply didn't pay for before? Because that is another possibility that I think we should check on.
I've got marching orders, work with staff and bring something back at a future meeting.
All right. Anything further on this? You have everything, Matt, now for this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, discussion regarding ordering 2026 Ford Police Interceptor Squad prior to budget approval due to limited ordering window. Chief Weiner.
Good evening. This is very similar to what we kind of gone through each year for the last couple of years. I want to kind of get a jump on it so we don't run into the issue we have a couple of times in the last several years. The ordering window, they call it, is open for 2026 police vehicles. As part of the capital improvement plan for 26 and years forward, there's a replacement of one squad per year. And I'm just seeking permission to place the order now so that we have a squad reserved in their process. I know that Chevy, which I'm not considering, Chevy went to an allotment process, which means they're only taking so many orders and they're done. And that's part of the issue we ran into with Ford the two times where we're unable to order a Ford, which is my preference. I'd like to have same fleet just for many reasons, but because of the issues in the last couple of years, we ended up with a Chevy and a Dodge. And I'm not demeaning either of those brands, but they have different purposes and different uses, and I'd rather stay with what we have the most of. So if I'd be able to order the squad, I would order it through Napleton here, who has the state contract, and she would probably extend the build date a little later to this year so that we would get it shortly after the first of the year and then be able to pay for it as part of the 2026 budget monies. Because they have been delivering them relatively quick. So if I ordered it and she put the build in to be immediate, we would probably have it by the end of the year. So I don't want to have that problem of having a squad sitting in a lot and not being able to pay for it. So Aaron at Napleton has told me building a later date in reserves a squad in their big build picture for us, and then we'll get it sometime after the first of the year.
Alder Rostad. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that it's the amount that I have listed in the council with the documents for the state contract price.
Is there, this is probably for Matt and Kendra, is there money available that he would, if we would give the approval to order it and it shows up before the first of the year? Because I don't think it's a bad thing that we get one coming before we can't get it, or we're pushed into another dilemma.
That is a great question that I can look into, but I do not have the answer right now on the finance side. Do you?
The only thing that I'll say is, in my conversations with Dennis on this, it sounds like Napleton's willing to work with us on a delivery after January 1, and that if they're willing to do that, that's the cleanest and easiest way for this to move forward. Is there always a way to look at, available funds? Sure, but the cleanest and easiest way is taking delivery after January 1.
Correct. I want the squad before we don't have a squad. That's my only concern.
But Dennis, I'm correct in saying that Erin was willing to work with us on taking delivery after January 1.
Correct. She can build in specifically in the order a later build date. So we would get it after the first of the year. And then another secondary issue that would make the after the first of the year more reasonable is our outfitters in Portage, Belco, have a parking lot full of squads. So if we got a squad in 6 or 8 weeks, which I think the average is going about 8 or 10, they probably wouldn't get to it till probably February or March anyways, to be honest with you.
Okay, and then, I don't know if I'm stealing any of your thunder, but the new 26, is it a body change? Are you gonna have to get all new upfitting on the inside, or 25 was a new year?
25 was a new remodeled per se year, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Oh, I can talk about it now. So in addition to the squad purchase, we're going to have the cost for outfitting it. So what I talked to the man about last week was I'm looking at 2 options. Is we have a car that's a squad that's pretty much at the retirement level, or potentially in conjunction with this fleet program we're trying to do, we may be able to get another year or 2 out of it. So that equipment from that squad may not necessarily be 100% compatible with this new squad. So what my proposal was going to be is I've obtained 2 quotes for outfitting the squad. One of them is a flip. So basically we take the equipment out of the old car, put it in this new car, and that cost is much less, obviously. And then secondarily, I have a quote for all new equipment for this new squad car. And my thought process is to pay the difference between a flip and outfitting fully with LISO monies. And essentially we gain a squad car for the same price to the taxpayers as if we just flipped one, if that makes sense. So that's going to be a little bit of my thunder with the LISO program update with the monies we have available and what's going to be coming in the future. So we do have to outfit it, so we can flip it roughly for around $600 or $6,500, and a total new outfitting of the police equipment is in the 18s. And that excludes a couple of the minor things too that we'd have to add in, but those are so I guess what I'm saying, to make it clear, let's use 6 and 18. My intent would be to budget for the 6 and then potentially pay the 12 gap with LISO monies. And then in essence, we would have a brand new squad with brand new equipment, and then we would hold up, we'd get another year or 2 use out of the squad we're going to retire, and we actually gained a squad to the fleet.
And then, to your comment, so in 26, we'll have, instead of 3 new computers and 3 squad cams, we'll have 4? I mean, the capital projects will still remain at 3, but the new
would be part of this if we do the full outfitting.
So you'll still need 3 more?
Correct, because we're running, we have 3 of the newer, which is Model 4000, and we have 3 older, which are models WJ30. And the WJ30s are ancient. They're not compatible very well with our uploading and our software program that we use for the body cameras and for the newer versions. So they are the 3 we're replacing are clearly at end of life.
Perfect.
Alder Meyer?
I also support getting it on order now. And if we figuring out a way to take possession of it early, if the lead time is really going to be 4 to 6 weeks on arrival, and then for Belco to outfit it, I mean, if we're looking at March, we're not going to have a new squad into service if we don't take that until July. And I also just seen on here, reading through this, it also says 4 to 6 months from time of order.
Yeah, they've been averaging about 12 weeks. So
okay,
maybe
so then this isn't as worrisome.
No. They're coming much faster than they were post-COVID. They were taking 8 or 9 months, and some didn't even get them in a year. And that created a humongous backlog, which created the problem a couple years ago where they just took orders for like a month and then just stopped. And that's how we ended up with the Chevy that I'm driving.
I truly think it's in our best interest as a city to not postpone delivery.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
With the time frames that we're looking for the backlog at Belco. Why would we wait half a year to put a new vehicle into service when we can get it on order now and get it into service?
And I can touch base with Aaron tomorrow too for maybe a clearer picture of order and build dates too, because I mean, we are going into September, so I'm okay with after the first of the year. Like Matt said, I think it's cleanest for everything. Belco won't get to it till at least the first of the year. And if it came in mid-December, I know Napleton would care less about it sitting there for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, either way around, I'm okay with it. We don't have to pay for it till it arrives or till we drive it off the lot. So I would be okay with that. I also wanted to add too that the three makers of police vehicles now are Dodge, Ford, and Chevrolet. The Dodges are roughly 2,000 less than what the Fords are. We have a Dodge in our fleet that we got a couple years ago, again, because of the issue with Ford. They're much smaller, in my opinion, much less comfortable. And the one we have that has 10,000 miles on it, we just replaced the transmission. So that's kind of given me a more flavor to stay with the Ford, because all the equipment, even the controls of the vehicle are pretty similar, even though the years change. And I'm kind of one of those smaller department. You should have as much consistency vehicle equipment-wise as you can, because if you're in an emergency situation, you got to think of what brand of squad you're in, where you reach the button for this or for that. It's just, it's not good business. And Chevrolet is the police vehicle they make. They make Trailblazers and Blazers as police vehicles now, but they are very small. They're about the size of maybe a Ford Escape or a little bigger. Non-patrol vehicle, in my mind, a lot of departments are buying those for their detectives and like for their admin staff that aren't out on the road all the time. The Chevrolet Tahoes and Suburban are pretty much the patrol vehicles, and those are $10,000 to $12,000 more than what the Fords are, so that's not even an option. As you know, I have a Tahoe, and it's big, it's hard to park, it's kind of a boat. And in a small community like this, it's not a feasible patrol vehicle. So it'll probably stay as an admin vehicle for its lifetime here. In a county or a much bigger jurisdiction, it would be very appropriate. But here with our settings, it's not appropriate. And it was one of those, we don't get a squad that year, or we take this one that Napleton threw to us when someone turned it down. So I appreciate that favor. It works well for me. But it wouldn't be a patrol vehicle. So I did explore the other options for vehicles, and this is the most all-around best decision. So I'd just be looking for permission to reach out to Erin, get a squad ordered, and try to pick a date that'll be shortly here after January 1st that she can put in the build date.
Alder Rolke?
I'm also in favor of going ahead and doing this now. We've done it this way the last couple of years. It's worked. It's been very clean. I appreciate Napleton working with you like that, so I'm all for doing it now.
Alder Lawson?
Yeah, I don't have any problem moving this forward, but I'm wondering, can we fix this going forward? This build window is going to be the same every year, right? It's the late summer to fall.
Every year is different. In the first couple of years post-COVID were just nightmares. I mean, for those that recall, I submitted an order for a squad. I got pre-approval, submitted it. And they called me 3 days later and said, oh, the computer rejected it. They stopped taking orders 2 weeks ago and didn't tell the dealerships. So that's how we ended up with the Dodge.
So to answer your question, to address that, what you'd want to do this year in the CIP is to add a second one and do 2 this year so that the money is there when the ordering window opens in the fall, that it's budgeted for and you can move forward with acquiring the vehicle.
Yep.
All right, any concerns moving this to council? All right, update on LISO program, Chief.
All right, I'm here kind of in proxy for Lieutenant Ward. This program is kind of his baby. He is currently out of state, probably going to be back late tonight. So I thought, as well as Matt did, it'd be a good idea to give an update on our program here, as long as I'm here asking about purchasing a new squad. So if you remember back in June, I came before the council to purchase 4 used squads using LISO monies. We did not take delivery of those vehicles. We were in the process of it, and one of them showed some mechanical issues that we had evaluated by a certified mechanic, by LISO funds. We use funds for that. And the problems were just too substantial that we didn't want to start this program, behind the 8 ball. So the seller agreed to take them all back. We were out no money for the vehicles. So then it continued our kind of quest to buy some used, decent vehicles. We did purchase one several weeks ago to start this off for $8,500. We have taken delivery of it. It's got a little over 100,000 miles on it. It's pretty clean. It's got a lot of door dings in it from wherever it was parked at that department, but all superficial. So we plan to hopefully get that outfitted in the coming months. One of the things that we came across that I will maybe put on a council agenda in a future meeting, maybe the next meeting if possible, is that I would like to have a little more flexibility with the purchasing ability. What we have, Matt's limit is $15,000, and we were looking at 2 squads that were for sale, very low miles. I went and drove both of them. I think one was an admin vehicle. I'm not sure it had a whole lot of equipment in its lifetime. The other one was a marked vehicle. One had 70,000 on it. One had the upper 80s. They were 2021s, I believe. So I physically went and drove them. They're awesome cars. We bid on them. And then when you buy through Wisconsin Surplus, you have to build in the buyer's fee, which I think at that level was like 7 or 8%. And with what we wanted to bid and what the cars went for, and we probably lost for, was over a couple $100. We bid up as high as we could, building on the buyer's fee that got us to like $14,900, and we couldn't go any further. And so we had to opt out, and the cars went for a couple hundred more each than what we were locked out of. So we had an opportunity to get, and they were very clean, local department in Dane County. It was really a lost opportunity, and I respect the policies, and it is what it is. I didn't just do it and then come and ask for forgiveness. I respect the rules, but I would ask that in some way in the future with LISO monies, maybe we could go up to 20,000 max with Matt's permission. That would be a potential ask for me. We would never buy a used squad for over $20,000 just because, we might as well buy new or semi-new and just do that through another process. But what we're looking for hopefully is in the $8,000 to $15,000 range to get this program up and going. And that would have been a humongous step, and we lost out on it, and it is what it is. So that may be coming forward. I took a bunch of notes here, so I want to make sure that I cover everything. All right, we currently have, including the $8,500 we paid recently for this vehicle, we currently have approximately $27,000 in the LISO account. And we also have several things coming up eligible for auction this fall. 1 or 2 that may bring a substantial amount of money that we can kick into this program to get it into overdrive. The LISO program is currently in an audit cycle internally, which means that interactions and paperwork exchanging with them is extremely limited. We have to keep an equipment under this program for a year, and then we have to request, and they send us a paperwork that allows us to sell it. And that process comes to pretty much a standstill in August and September, from what I'm told, because they're doing an internal audit for their fiscal year. So in likely October, we'll have a Polaris Dagger, which is like a UTV on steroids, the one we had out National Night Out, if you saw it. Eligible, that'll bring a lot of money. We have 4 snowmobiles. They're all in very good condition. One of them has 600 miles on it. We have a couple other miscellaneous things that we are expecting are going to bring a big chunk of money that may let us get this program almost off the ground totally. But again, auctions are what people are willing to pay for something and how many people are interested in it. Some of these things are niche items, but also in the same respect, some of them are so niche that they're specialty and people are willing to pay a ton of money for them. So I don't want to throw numbers out there, this may get this may get that, just because I don't know. Because it's going to all depend on who wants it, how many people want it, and what they're willing to pay. So what we plan to do is eventually outfit the squad that we bought, and then hopefully buy another 1 or 2, and then see where the money is and slowly implement the program that Lieutenant Ward had talked to you about. Initially, as a baby step for this program, we want to go to the point of assigning squad cars. That doesn't mean they take them home. It just means that 2 specific officers are assigned to this squad, 2 assigned to that car, 2 assigned to that car. And that, studies have shown that that increases, if you have interest in a vehicle, instead of 7 people sharing the same squad car, 2 people have a little more ownership value to it, about keeping it clean and driving it carefully. And then also from the management perspective as well, if there's damage or issues with it, we have 2 people that we can talk to about it versus 7. So our hope is to get that started sooner than later, hopefully by the end of the year. Again, not a take-home program for the officers, but just an assigned squad, which will add to morale as well. I mean, let's face it, it's not the first time you're going to hear it is we're down 2 people, and we've been down 2 people for years, and it's painful. We're denying time off, we're denying training. Anything we can do is an incentive to get people to apply here. I mean, I think the caveat of a potential new public safety building in the future will be good. The opportunity for assigned cars and or potentially take-home cars, I think is a huge incentive. And we're trying to fund all of that through this LISO program, and so far we've been successful, and that's our plan, is to keep that rolling. I mean, we're not getting applications. We're getting applications from people who have been fired elsewhere or resigned amid internal investigation. That's no good for me. I'm not interested in those candidates. I'll take a cursory look at them just to give them a fair shot, but we've had 7 or 8 of them apply here probably this year, and I'm not willing to risk. I value this community. I value my reputation and my department's reputation to go out on a limb and hire someone who has a history of problems. That's just not worth it, and it's not good for the other officers as well that are working here and working hard and staying positive. So any little nugget we can do to try to attract more people to this community would be appreciated, and I think this is a huge step. I don't really have anything else to say. It looks like I got through all of my notes. Any questions?
Alder Rostad.
I'd just like to say thanks. Thanks for the update. And I would echo Dennis's to get the ordinance back on the next cow so we can push it into the, to give him more spending money with your approval as the city administrator. And then the third and last thing is, I don't think the council needs to be involved yet when it comes to the take-home squad, but we have yet, as far as I'm concerned, I have not, I shouldn't speak for everybody, have seen a criteria
Okay.
of what's going to be set, what you have to meet to get the take-home squad. Like I said, though, if you're just to the point where you want to baby step into assigning the squad, I'm okay with that, but I don't think the council needs to see the criteria. Maybe we could see it sooner, so we know what it is.
There's a policy written.
Okay.
It's in draft form. It's been written by Lieutenant Ward, copied, I believe, after the Appleton Police Departments.
Okay.
So there is one written. Right now, as it stands, we have a total of 8 staff. I have a take-home just by nature of my job and my title, but only 2 or 3 other people would even be eligible for it. Our goal is to make it 50 miles or less from the city limits. And by union contract, they're allowed 30 miles or less. So, and I wouldn't foresee, and I won't speak for any employees, that they're going to move within that mileage so that they can have a car to drive to and from work. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just saying that it's not going to be an instant. There's going to be 8 cars going in and out of town every day on their work days, but
it could be an incentive for them to look.
within the 15 miles
To
for
look
future
within.
hires.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your
Yep.
update.
Yep, and there is, like I said, there is a policy. I'll check with Lieutenant Ward when he's back in the office. I'm not sure if it's tomorrow or the next day, and see where we're at with the draft policy. I can send you a copy of it.
Alder Reed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for all of your hard work, and your care and concern for the community is so evident, and it's definitely noticed. Just a small curiosity question. I'm wondering how the auction went for the Hummer.
The Hummer.
I believe it was a Hummer.
Yeah, I would have to, like I said, this is Lieutenant Word's baby. I can send you an email with that, but I know that, we had at least 35,000 in the account to buy the squad and the 27,000 balance, and to pay the company that we use for transporting some of these things. So, God, do I want to say it went in the 20s? I'm not sure, but I can get you the concrete answer.
Alder Lawson.
Are we still acquiring property through the LISO program?
We are, actually. Lieutenant Word's in Pennsylvania picking up something today. So,
Nice.
yes. I mean, it's when things come up for auction, or not for auction, when they come up for disposal from the government. Every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock is when they post stuff. And I know somebody that's logged in about 7:55 every Saturday morning to see what's out there. Because that's kind of a first come, first serve. And we are watching, and there's peaks and valleys. We put in for several items in the last couple of months that either has gone elsewhere, or that the federal government has pulled back to utilize for another governmental department. That happens a lot. We were actually in the final running for a command post that had a Kenworth semi-tractor on it and a big bed on it that was a really nice command post, and they pulled that the day before it was over and repurposed it to another governmental agency. But that was a pretty impressive looking machine. So we're still watching all the time.
Is there a plan to wind that down at any point? Like once we get enough funds to have all of the squads, and we have a plan to replace them every year, will we still do this to raise funds for something else, or?
My plan would be to continue to do it maybe on a smaller scale. Once we get everything up and running, which may be past my time here in a couple of years, who knows? Just to supplement other equipment. I mean, we can repurpose the funds, and it involves some work and some paperwork and some bureaucracies and phone calls and monitoring websites to do this, but it has really gone in our favor. I mean, we're in a really good spot to, equip our department better, which is another incentive for employees as well. I mean, we do overall very well. We've got newer equipment in most of the cars, if not all the cars. The council has been very gracious the last several years. We're in a very good position, and I'd like to stay there because, again, that's a tool when you have applicants come and want to ride along and see about your department. I remember many years ago, one of the council members came for a ride along and commented about how old our equipment was. So, you take that to heart. And, I've tried to incrementally update things as they go. Technology is way ahead of my incremental updates, but, I think we do very well in general, and I'm proud with where we're at. And once we make these last couple of steps with the take-home or the assigned cars, I mean, that'll be a big, not celebration, but it'll be something we're really happy about.
Alder Rolke.
I just would also like to say thank you for all of the due diligence in this program. I think it's a great program. I would also like to call the question at this point and move on because we have a lot to get through still tonight.
Yeah.
Yep. Anybody have any
Fair enough.
other questions, last minute questions? All right,
Thank you.
that's it. All right, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
First by Alder Lawson, a second by Alder Rolke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Welcome, everybody, to tonight's 19th. Welcome to those that are watching via the cable. And could I have a roll call, please?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Rolke.
Here.
Rosted.
Here.
Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Okay, thank you. I would look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the item number 7 being maintenance number 2 instead of a maintenance number 1.
It's not item number
So
7.
moved to,
Yeah, item number 7.
Okay.
so moved to approve with the suggested correction.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda approved. Public comment? Anything?
There's none.
None, thank you. Department reports that are for file are the Columbus Fire Department of June of 2025, Library of July of 2025, and Police of July of 2025. Next would be to approve the consent agenda, which is the Joint Plan Commission Common Council minutes, Committee of the Whole, Common Council, and workshop meeting minutes of August 6, 2025.
Second.
Who made the motion? Okay. Motion by Alder Relke, second by Alder Rosted to approve consent agenda. Any discussion?
Why are we're missing a month from the fire department? Is there a reason for that? The 6th, we have June, we don't have July's.
These are the reports that were presented. Were
Okay.
filed, So, any discussion on consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda approved. Next is the consider and take action regarding ordinance 808-25, an ordinance to repeal and recreate certain provisions of chapter 102 of the City of Columbus Code of Ordinances concerning the Columbus Utility Commission. I first would take a motion to suspend the rules.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Finkler to suspend the rules. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next would be to waive the readings.
Move to waive the,
Okay, go ahead.
sorry. Move to waive the readings.
Second.
Motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rosted to waive the reading. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next would be to adopt ordinance 808-25, and there was the correction of the section 102-58, eliminating communication systems from that.
Motion to adopt ordinance 808-25 with the grammar mistakes pointed out in cow and
Second.
here.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Roki. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, very good. You're caught up? Okay. All right. Now, under new business, item number 4 is to consider and take action regarding the Tower Drive housing project, which was discussed at the July 15th COW. Mike?
Yes, we had, on July 31st, we had a neighborhood meeting at Zion Lutheran Gymnasium. We also had input at National Night Out. We had lots of really good input at both those sessions. We also got a number of feedback emails through the city website. So we had a really good kind of feedback on the concepts that we had shared at those events and on the website. And so here going out, we would like to get some direction on how the council would like to go forward and develop this property. I did include a third option, including those two, which is a combination of the two concepts plus the input we received from the public. It's the input that we received isn't clear cut on a number of items. Some of them overwhelmingly is there, people really like the trail system, the community gardens on the site. That was really positive. There's definitely a consensus of concern on the safety of crossing Tower Drive at the south end of the property, as well as the funky intersection at the north end. People seem to, they were kind of split, owner occupied units versus rental units. That was kind of evenly split. But we definitely have people in the community that want to stay in Columbus and find a new place to live. We heard that many times from our older citizens who are in houses that are much larger than they need, and they're looking for quality options within Columbus. And they were very passionate in saying, I'm not leaving Columbus, but they want other options. So that's one of the reasons for option number 3, concept number 3. We don't have a graphic for that, but it was really kind of reflect all those comments. When it came to the apartment building, there's definitely a scale issue, saying that people would like to not see something quite so tall, and that's something that fits more into the neighborhood. So we still have concept 1 and 2, and then the third option, which is the new option, is a more of a middle density option with that's almost 10 units per acre, that has a one two-story apartment building with approximately 30 units. That would be 55-year-old and over housing, and then 8 to 10 single-family zero-lot line homes, otherwise also known as twin homes. And again, the trail, the sidewalk, community garden, and so that concept 3 from a revenue perspective is in between those other two. So the concept 2 is $35,000 a year in city tax revenue. The high end option is $80,000, and concept 3 is $50,000, right in the middle. If as a council you want a combination of that, or you just want to give us a completely different direction, that's great too. But I think all these options here kind of give a range of densities and revenue generations for this property. So with that, any questions?
I think the third option sounds interesting. I think it sounds like it's a, I don't know, kind of a midway point between the other two. If we truly have an underserved population out there, it's a great way to keep folks in Columbus and put their housing back in the market, right? So I just don't know, how many people really came forward with that? Do we need to do some kind of study to ensure that there really is an underserved population that could fill a 30-unit apartment?
I mean, that is an option. We could do a market study on that. I think if we're going to go down the road of a market study, we might want to we could do a larger market study on all of the housing needs. But I think sometimes, I think if we put out, if you give us direction, the next step would be to send out a request for qualifications. And I think the developers out there, their response would kind of give us an indication on what the market is without doing the study and taking more time on top of that.
is it an option? Is it an option to put out an RFP or RFQ that presents an option for the builder to say, hey, I propose this or this, as long as it meets one of these?
We could arrange this a number of different ways. I think when we started going down this concept was to kind of try to get a consensus on something that the city supports. So when the developer submits something that
We're comparing apples to apples.
we're comparing apples to apples, and it's something we don't have to have a large debate on whether or not we like that. That we're close to there to begin once those applications come in.
Okay, thanks.
Alder Finkler.
I would like to see concept number 3. I don't want to do any more studies. We have been in analysis paralysis at that point. And I think if we are going to do an overall study, that could be something that would be separate from this. I also think that we should only have one concept in the RFQ because that is why we paid for the study to get where we are right now. So I feel like it would have been not worth our time to have a study and go this route if we're just going to be back into the situation where we could be apples to oranges. And based off of the listening sessions that I went to and the folks that I talked to, it seems like concept 3 is the most desirable out of these options. Actually, the most desirable was single family homes from what I had heard. But I think this was like the second favorite.
Alder Meyer.
I will echo what Alder Finkler just said, but I would like the emails that we received from the community. It's tough for me to be able to represent the citizens of Columbus with half the data and just a summarized version of it. If they truly don't want an apartment building, right, as a majority, and I received more than 5 emails from concerned citizens on this, that would, with this concept number 3, I don't know how we can make a true decision in what the city wants and the citizens want with dumbed down, summarized data. I think we need to look at the full picture here as a council to make the true decision of what our citizens truly want.
Alder Reed.
Thank you. I would be very much against concept 1 with the high density apartments. I don't think that'll fit in well at all. I would either want to go with option 2, or I also want to see a rendering of option 3. It sounds really intriguing and useful for our probably underserved populations.
Alder Lawson.
So, Marcus, did you say you received email concerns about number 3?
No, what I would put from the feedback I received would be majority of the emails would support number 3.
Okay.
I also would support number 3, but I don't want to make a decision on any of this until I have the true feedback on what was sent in on the website.
Thanks. I'm in favor of number 3, and I don't want to do another study or delay this any longer. I'm not sure that a site concept, because it's not the builder at this point, it could all change anyways, is needed.
Wouldn't we want that for RFQ, Paul?
Pardon?
Don't you want the site concept for the RFQ? Wasn't that the
Yeah.
purpose of doing all of this? So one's
Yeah.
going to get created
Yeah,
anyway?
we would like to create one as part of the RFQ ultimately, yeah. Just a quick point on the emails from the website. We received 8 emails from the website. But I can get the council those emails.
Okay, Alder Roki.
I would also be interested in concept 3. but I would almost be interested in seeing what it would look like to expand upon the apartment units and eliminate or like lessen the single-family homes. We have a lot of that. There are a lot of seniors who have lived in this community the entire 40 years that I have lived here that I know they're dedicated to living here, but we do not have enough of that type of housing in Columbus. I think we should fix that.
Alder Rossett.
I echo Alder Meyer's concerns, and I'll play the devil's advocate. We have to trust our city staff as well, that they created a summary based in the best interest of the council to make a decision. So with that, I will make a motion to create an RFP or propose an RFP for RFQ for concept number 3.
I'll second.
Okay, motion on the table for, by Alder Rosted and a second by Alder Lawson for concept number 3. Any further discussion on this for direction? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Thanks very much, everybody, for the comments. You know, where I live on East School Street and Water Street, and, you know, traffic, it's a main thoroughfare during school days. I know when the Redbud Trails went in, the concern was all the added traffic. And, you know, you got a 4-way stop there right now. People negotiate and you work your way through it. It's not going to be as big of a headache as what I think people think it's going to be. So just my personal opinion on that. So next then we will move on to consider and take action on the mission, vision, and value statements of the City of Columbus.
I'll move to approve the mission, vision, and value statements of the City of Columbus.
Reed seconds.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Reed. It was close. Discussion on this item. Hearing none, all in favor of adopting such?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Then next is consider and take action on the job descriptions for administrative and billing clerk, deputy treasurer, and human resources generalist.
Move to approve the job descriptions for administrative and billing clerk, deputy treasurer, human resources generalist.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Roki, second by Alder Finkler. Any discussion on this item?
I think we had some changes that were suggested in Cal, so do we need to specify approval with those changes? No, I think the mayor recommended a couple changes. where
Yeah,
it
there
said
was,
water
there
and
were,
light, for instance.
3 spots for the admin and billing clerk. And then item number 9 under duties for the deputy treasurer. So if you want to amend
I'll
with
amend
those.
my motion to include the changes discussed.
Second.
Okay. Alder Roki with an amended motion and second by Alder Finkler. Now any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Then next would be to get caught up on here. Then next would be to consider and take action regarding authorization to fill vacancies for administrative and billing clerk, human resources generalist, and a public works maintenance 2 position.
I will move to approve the, or authorize the fill of the vacancies listed in the packet.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Finkler. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, this would be a roll call.
Finkler.
Aye.
Rolke.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Rosted.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next would be to consider and take action on task order 2025-05 with Rupert Melke for the 2026 West School Street reconstruction in the amount of $167,600.
Move to,
approve.
go ahead.
Move to approve task order 2025-05 with Rupert Milkie in the amount of $167,600.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rolke, second by Alder Meyer. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Rosted.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Rolke.
Aye.
Okay, next would be to consider and take action on the, on whether to award or decline the bid of Copeland and Keenest Company in the amount of $240,978.80 for the asphalt work at Waterloo Lift Station, Meister Park Lift Station and parking lot, and the Warner Street parking lot in infrastructure support of proposed park shelter.
I will move to reject the bids for the asphalt work listed in the packet.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Rosted. Discussion, Alder Lawson.
Does the motion need to defer this further, or do we have the instruction you need? Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, this wouldn't have to be a roll call then, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then next would be to consider and take action on ordering the 2026 Ford Police Interceptor Squad from Napleton, Columbus in the amount of $44,399.50.
I'll make a
move to-
motion. Go ahead, Mike.
I'll move to approve the order of the 2026 Police Interceptor from Napleton in the amount of $44,399.50.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Lawson, second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Rolke.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Rosted.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And then next would be to consider and take action on the claims in the amount of $424,955.83.
Move to approve the claims.
Second.
Motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Finkler to pay the bills. Any further discussion on this? No. You have a,
No, I'm just getting ready.
oh, getting ready? Okay. Roll call.
Finkler.
Aye.
Rosted.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Rolke.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
All right, thanks very much. Report of city officers.
I just quickly want to thank both city staff and our residents for enduring the construction project on Park Ludington Street. I know there were challenges at the end of the day. The mayor and I were talking this morning. You know, we're fortunate that James Street, Park Ludington, and Farnham 89 have all been completed in the last 8 years. And so I know a lot of communities have state highways where they're struggling with the DOT. I just think we should feel fortunate that all of those roads have been done. We're in a really good shape. I know there's always challenges with construction. I know our business community was impacted. My family tried to get out as much as we could. And thank everyone for enduring the joys of orange barrel season in Wisconsin.
I'd like to just piggyback off of Matt's comments, and even though the majority of the project is done, there's still the line painting to do and such. We as citizens owe it to continually to patronize our businesses in town here. You know, some of them really lost out with all the construction that was going on, and they need our support not just then, but they need it now, and so that they can have a successful year. So I thank you very much, and thank the council for their hard work and accomplishing everything that needs to be accomplished. With that, I would look for a motion to convene to close session per section, or State Statute 19.85 1G, to confer with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. You don't necessarily have to read it. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Meyer to go to closed session. Any discussion? Then roll call, please.
Meyer.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Rosted.
Aye.
Rolke.
Aye.
Okay, and then we will reconvene to open session later and take action on what's being discussed. So, thank you guys for being here. Glad you love meetings.
Right? Welcome to your entertainment.
Thank you. We are back in open session. I would look for a motion to consider and take action to approve the settlement agreement concerning a former employee.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Finkler. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Rosted,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Rolke,
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. With that, then I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Move
So
to
move.
adjourn.
She started
No
the
way.
M, so she got it. So I still need a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Alder
second.
Finkler, second by Alder Rolke to
District
adjourn.
3.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.